Data visualization is all about two things. One, quickly communicating your findings or your recommendation to a group or to the reader or to the consumer of your report. That's one. The other one is helping you interpret and understand the data set beyond what you're just seeing out of the descriptives, the mean, mode, median, range, and standard deviation. It gives you a visualization of, okay, are there any outliers? Okay, and you'll see that on a scatter plot. Is there anything in there that I should be seeing that I can't, I kind of get, because everything I've looked at so far have been tables, okay, with a lot of numbers on them. But when I get a visual or a picture of something, I see you may see something different. And then there's 3D visualization. We'll do some of that in a little bit later on, but maybe not in this specific block of instruction. But then there's 3D, and you can twist the chart around to see maybe is there a different perspective or something different going on, because the key in all research is to find what is some people call that golden nugget. That piece of information just goes, wow, the aha moment where you go, wow. If you find that and you're able to propagate that through the organization and out in the marketplace or out into the manufacturing, okay, and you personally have found that nugget, or your team has found that nugget of information that makes the market go like this instead of like this, instead of flat, it goes up, or it makes your costs go down instead of staying the same, who's going to get the pay raise? You and your team, that's right. And once you get a pay raise, what can you do? What can you do with a pay raise? Be much better consumers in the United States of America. 70% of the economy is based upon consumer and consumption by you, me, and everybody else that doesn't work for a corporation and is not part of the government. Okay. So we're going to summarize, and then you're going to interpret, analyze, as I've discussed. And then like I said, there's another piece that you can do is identifying those relationships. You can also identify trends. Okay, if you see if you do a trend line, and we'll be doing a lot of that when we get into the next module, which is regression. You'll see a lot of trend lines. You'll see a lot of, when we get to forecasting, you'll see you're able to forecast based upon what's going on inside that data visualization. And if all of a sudden you see something that doesn't look quite like the others, you go, is that bad data, or is that something interesting going on in the marketplace that I need to investigate? Or is that something interesting that's going on in the manufacturing facility that needs more investigation? And it may indeed be just a data recording error, but it might be that golden nugget that you're looking for. Okay. So the first thing everybody talks about is, not everybody, but this from the text, and you might not hear this all the time. It's called a data to ink ratio. Is the more data you have and the less ink, okay, the more likely you are to communicate what you're trying to communicate. Okay. And let me give you an example. Here's a chart, okay, where there is quite a bit of inkage going on. And here's some ink where they've got lines going across and things like that. Now these are just kind of fall in the category of best practices. Then you go to something like this and you see, well, it's cleaner. Actually, this chart has probably improved because there's less ink. But this chart, did it improve or get worse? Yeah, why? Yeah, there's a lot going on, and yeah. Yep. So in the one before, this improved, but this one with less ink got a little less communicative, or a little less specific, or a little less able to interpret exactly what's going on without getting lost inside the chart. And again, these are textbooks. This is kind of the textbook of why you would use a table. Okay. You want to make very specific comparisons, one number to another. okay? Or you have different scales. You might have one that's time and one that's dollars. And so if you put it on a visual and you're wanting to compare time and dollars, okay, and dollars are in billions and time is in nanoseconds, it's going to be hard to interpret, especially the nanosecond one, because it's going to not even show up on the chart because it's so small relative to the largest number on the chart, okay? And so here's an example. You can see here right away. Can everybody see that all right? You see that okay? Let me see if I can bump that up just a little bit for you. I don't know if I can or not on this. I'll try. Nope, not going to happen. Well, some of these numbers will get a little bit easier to read. So what you have here is these are your costs and these are your revenues. When you subtract costs from revenues, what do you get? Profit or lack thereof, right? And so here you go, oh, okay, well I want to compare, this number to this number very specifically, but what if you're just trying to get a trend, a real quick trend of what's going on? Okay? And that's why you would take this from a table, or what some people call a crosstab. In Excel, it's called a pivot table, and I'll give you some specific examples of that. So what do you see is going on in this chart? And I'm going to ask this question a lot for today and a little bit of Thursday, and then on Thursday what we'll do is we'll take this to Minitab and you'll run your own sort of analyses of a couple of data sets. So what do you see going on here? Who wants to take this one? This is the group discussion. By the way, group discussion, I think I gave everybody did pretty well last week, unless I saw you kind of sitting there, kind of working on your cell phone while the class was going on or something like that. But at any rate, what's going on here? What do you see in this trend line? Okay, this is Gossamer Industries, and these are scarves. What's going on down here? In which, all the time? Yeah. Right. So, and these are point numbers. So this is not really a continuous number. But yeah, you're right. Here and here, you're losing money. Right? Because when your revenues go below your costs, are you losing money or making money? Right? Is your cash flow going positive or negative when this occurs? Most likely negative. Negative cash flow, is that good or bad? Negative cash flow, good. Positive cash flow, no. Negative cash flow, bad. Positive cash flow, good. Although sometimes negative cash flow is also good, especially in a startup. What else? Anybody else got another observation? Make another observation here. Just pick a salient point, and what I'm really trying to get you to do is rather than look at the lines, look at what is being told to you. Yes.
Overall, they're still in a profit over that span of time.
And how did you know that?
Because the margin between, like, it went negative for a little bit, but it wasn't a very big margin. Then it went positive again. When it started out, there was a large margin between the two.
Right. Okay, good. Well, keep in mind, I don't think these are cumulative. These are month by month. But where you'd pick that up is up here, right? So this is where, instead of the line chart, you might come back up here and you go, okay, their revenues were 353, and their costs cumulatively for those 6 months. You're right, okay? But you can get it really specific here. You can kind of maybe tell a little bit down here what the end result is, but you almost have to come back up to this table here, to the crosstab table, other than the line chart, to pick up that they're making roughly, was it 53 minus 26 is what, 27,000? They're making $27,000 in that 6 month period. Okay. Now this is the so what. Who cares? Why? And the person's not, is that Petra I did that too? Why do you care? Yeah, I'm sorry. Remember the other day when I said, why, was that you I did that too? Why do you care? Maybe that, yeah. Why do you care? Okay. And I'm not being mean. So what? Why do you care about what's going on here? What would be a business conclusion or a business question or something to begin investigating based upon this data set that you have here, which has revenues and costs, and then you create a visualization of what's going on, what might you want to investigate here? Jake.
Why you made so much more in the first 3 months and then the steady decline from month 3 to 4.
Yeah.
And it just kind of evens out to figure out why your sales were so much higher in the first 3 months.
That's right. That's right. Good. It's a good one. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What did it have to do with what, like weather, like with the first month be January, cooler weather?
Now you're getting it. Taking it, and we're building off of that for sure. This is the scarf business, right? All right. And the scarf business. Keep going.
Well, I mean,
Is that? I'm assuming that's where you're going with this. Yeah. Yeah.
I wear a scarf in July, most likely.
Yeah. But in January, you're going to buy some scarves, and then when it comes back, well, wait a minute. Whoa, wait a minute. If assuming this is January and this is June, why did it go back up in June? Ooh, there you go, and that's why they lost money. So you see what's going. See what the key here is to the data is the data. It's just there. It's the so what. What are you being told, and what business implications does it have? Now, if you get the mean, mode, median, range, and standard deviation for your costs and your revenues, is that good? Absolutely, because you know what your average revenues are. You know what your average costs are. You know how much variation you get in your costs and your revenues. That would be good, but would you necessarily pick out what we just talked about as far as maybe some seasonality and maybe a sale that went on in June, or maybe just maybe the revenues went up is because you in the southern hemisphere, when does it get cold? Yeah, around month 6. I'm almost certain, right? Yeah. I've never lived there, but anybody lived south of the equator? Well, south of the equator? Yeah. So their January is our summer, right? And here's another way to look at it. Okay, and monthly costs and revenues where you, basically what you did here is you moved, this is kind of interesting, you moved this down here and created a separate chart within this chart, and then you can see how they're lining up, and so you can analyze that a little bit more specifically. Okay. Now, what did we do here? What did we add to this chart? Yeah. And why is employees per month important to know in your business? That's right. Exactly. Okay. And generally, you like to see there's a kind of a heuristic, or the days gone by. It was for every one employee, you need to see this about $100,000 in revenue on an annual basis. 100, 200, maybe 300 if you're into software. It might be bumping up a little bit because of inflation and exchange rates and those sort of things, but that's kind of a heuristic or general guideline. You want about $100, 200, $300,000 per revenue per customer. So if you're the CFO, okay, and you average of what's your average employee count here, right? 9, and in 6 months you're doing 326 times, 350 times 2. That's 700,000. So you're a little bit below maybe what the industry standard is. All right. Okay. Again, these are generally what people are in the textbook here. Okay. Are these absolutes? Avoid vertical lines. No. Okay. Put horizontal lines only when they help separate columns and titles. No. Or they're also horizontal lines are also, as you saw, good to have when you're separating out different rows from each other, just trying to distinguish them as you go down the columns, right, and across the rows. Yeah, and here's there's all kinds of different tables that are out there. These are all in Excel. There's templates, and I think I wanted to maybe stop here. Hold on, just for a second. I don't know where I wanted to stop. Oh, here's another way to look at it. Okay, this is revenues by location. And here you can see that did these verticals really help out that much? If they had had horizontals, would that have been more helpful? All right, there you go. Okay. I want to, this is where I want to do. Tables. You know, what I'm going to do here, for those who are listening on the tape, I'm just going to take one of these files, and I think I'm going to take the Grossman or the SCARF file, pull that in. I'm going to pause this just for a second and then go over there. Oops. If I can get it over there. There it is. Yeah, Excel just calls them crosstab, or pivot tables rather. And we had all these ratings. And then what you would do is, instead of giving somebody, okay, here's my crosstab, here's the meal price, put it up in a nice neat chart instead of real cryptic and inside a Excel or Minitab even is even worse. Okay. We created that table. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. And then we had the counts. And we drew some conclusions based upon each one of those different types of charts. Now, let's talk a little bit about a couple of different types of charts. Okay, is you have everything's still going to be visual, and we're going to display these as a scatter chart and a line chart. Okay, and I don't think I'll demo these. I think I'll save these for as far as demo. I'll save these for Thursday. And so. A trend line is you just get an understanding of where's the data taking us. It's used most often in forecasting. Okay. Scatter charts. And scatter charts are really good for helping you figure out, are there any outliers? Which of these is really just outside the general data? And so here we're just trying to examine the number of commercials and sales. And so we're going to put these up, and this is just another word for scatter plot. Is you have taken all this data and you plotted it. Here's the number of commercials, here's the sales, and as you might expect, you create a trend line. And this is called, kind of introducing where we'll be going next week, is we'll be going into understanding what is the equation for this line. And that's linear regression. Here's another way to look at this. All right, here's a scatter plot of the monthly sales. Is there anything that looks odd here or different as you're looking at this scatter plot here? Monthly sales to the time of the year, month of the year.
You'd think it would start going up in about October.
Yeah, something, this might be seasonality, but this one looks a little weird here. You see what I'm saying? And that's where you can look at this data and you can say, okay, what doesn't look quite right? Now, if there was something like way down here, okay, and in the month of June, instead of having 125 sales, you had 75 sales. Now, that really begs a question. Okay, what happened in June? It might have. You know what? You might be selling ice cream, all right, and on the boardwalk in New Jersey, and a hurricane hit that month, and not to be that's kind of a sad story, but it might be weather related. It might be, and those are called just epistemic, or not epistemic. Not epidemic, no. What's the opposite of epidemic? Nah, just a one-time event. These might be just one-time events. Episodic. Episodic is what I'm thinking of. These might just be one-time events. Episodic. Okay? And then you can chart this, and generally everything's going up, and then boom, boom, boom. But, well, wait a minute. Now, a lot of these are starting to look down in here. Maybe these are the numbers that you should be looking at. So the pictures... Again, not to use an old cliche, but pictures do, and visuals do tell you a lot more than just looking at the raw numbers. All right, here's the north and south split, and these are air compressors. What's going on here? What's an interpretation here? The so what behind this specific chart?
You're able to work. This is the air compressor one.
This is the air compressor.
You're able to work more outside or like do, I guess,
Ooh.
an air compressor in the south during December than you would in the north.
Yeah. So right. Yeah, that's good. That's an excellent point. Is it's kind of normal here, but when it gets really cold, they take those. There's not as much outside activity going on potentially. That's a good one. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. And so, but in the south, you can just keep it on, right? So if you're trying to sell compressors, okay, and you're trying to keep your sales level, where are you selling compressors in November and December? Where are you going to focus your sales force? I'm going south. And in fact, that's what I had a sales force, and we had a seasonal product, okay, and it was telecommunications equipment. And when it gets really cold outside, do you see as many backhoes and wires going in and people climbing poles as you do in the summer? No. So what we did was this was kind of part of the turnaround. I inherited an organization that was just it had gone from 20 million to 10 million to 9 million. It was going nowhere fast. And so this was one of the strategies, is because I said, hey, you know what? Let's split this north and south, and why don't instead in the winter, okay? Why don't we focus our sales efforts and all our sales calls, person-to-person sales calls, down south? Boom. Now that was a good one. The other thing you might do here to kick your sales, okay, is you might find a product that sells up north. Maybe there's a tent. Here we go, tents, okay? Because when you have an air compressor and you have a tent and you got a heated tent, what does the weather matter? Or maybe you sell heated jackets. Ooh, here you go. Yeah, or scarves again. Yeah. Okay. So, and this was another one. I mean, there's a real world. Is that the first part of resolving the issue as far as the declining sales was, one, you had to go and basically hold people accountable. That's number one you do in any situation. Number two is we did a north-south split, and instead of relaxing in November, December, January, and February, we were out selling. Okay. The other piece we found a product that was on our line card or in our product line that we used to sell up north. Okay. What happens up north in December, and let's say Minnesota and Wisconsin? What happens in January up there? What was that? Snow. It gets colder than heck. Okay, so if you break a line and it's colder than heck, in fact, the ground is absolutely rock hard. Can you bury any new cable to take service of that customer? No. So what we did was we took this one product. It was called Army Field Wire, and you could literally run a tank for this stuff, leave it on top till the spring thaw, and not only did our sales increase, we got high margins, and we opened up 100 new accounts ready to go when the spring thaw came. Wow. And so, in fact, that thing went in 1 year. We were back in, I mean, I'm not bragging here, but I mean, it was really that was probably one of the better ones of my managerial career, I suppose. Okay. So here's a spark line. Let me run that, and you can see here. You just put the spark line. You get a quick representation of what's going on inside the data. So here's the north. See, boom, 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 boom. It's going. Here's the south, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on bar charts. You know, everything. I think everybody has a pretty good feel for bar charts and what have you. So they're sidewards facing, and what we'll do is we will pick up. I'll just keep going pie. I'll just keep talking while you guys are packing up. And here's pie charts. It gives you a real quick feel for what's going on inside this sales force and how many accounts are being managed by who's the Sherpa here as far as accounts go? Who's really carrying a lot of weight as far as accounts managed? Yeah, this guy right here, whoever that is, probably Davis. Yeah, are you really colorblind? All right. So quickly, you can go in and you don't have to say, okay, who's carrying the weight this month? You go, hey, I know who's carrying the weight this month, just like that. And that's why visuals are so wonderful. Okay. Here's another one. Here's the billionaires by country, and this was I think this was 2007. Okay. Where are most of the billionaires? Yeah. And in fact, billionaires per 10 million residents, right here. Yeah. There you go. Who's this guy out here? Billionaires per million, 50. Or four, up over number of billion per capita. Here we go. There it is. Hong Kong. Look at that. You think the United States is doing well? Now this is per capita though. Okay. But here you got Hong Kong out here at 51. Okay. But they only have 36 billionaires. These guys are pulling up the back end of the train. Only 36 billionaires. We got billionaires here in the United States. In Russia, how many billionaires do you think they have now per capita? Yeah, it's just cut in half. That's right, because the currency is cut in half. Yeah. Something like half. Hey, Putin keeps pushing.